Have you ever noticed how, after experiencing a spiritual awakening, your motivation suddenly seems to fade away? Before that shift, you may have been full of goals, ambitions, and dreams, driven by an inner spark that constantly pushed you forward. Yet, once awakening happens, you often find yourself looking at the same life, but everything feels strangely different. Not necessarily better or worse, just emptier. The things that once pulled you out of bed no longer hold meaning. The dreams that once lit you up begin to feel like they belong to someone else. Plans that once felt exciting suddenly seem small, trivial, or even pointless. You feel like a balloon slowly deflating. This stage is surprisingly common after awakening, yet rarely spoken about, and it often makes people feel lost or even afraid. Questions naturally arise. Why don't I care about anything anymore? Why can't I push myself like before? Where did my passion go? It can be frightening when the inner flame you relied on seems to vanish. But the truth is that your motivation hasn't disappeared, it has been replaced. What you are going through is not a collapse, it is a realignment. Before awakening, much of your drive came from the ego. This is not a criticism, it is simply how most of us are conditioned. From childhood, we are told we must become someone, achieve success, impress others, and strive to be admired. We chase goals, collect achievements, and constantly push forward. Yet rarely do we stop to ask the most important question: why? The ego always has countless answers: to prove myself, to feel safe, to avoid failure, to make my family proud, to gain approval, to escape shame. But underneath, most of these reasons are rooted in fear. Fear of not being enough, of being forgotten, rejected, or unloved. So even though motivation looked like ambition, it often came from insecurity rather than joy. Awakening exposes this truth. It shows you that much of what you were doing was not for love, freedom, or peace, but to fill an inner void that could never be filled externally. Once you see this clearly, you cannot run on the same fuel. It's like waking up from a dream of running a race, only to realize the race was never real. This is why so many people feel they have hit a wall after awakening. Old goals lose their power. Achievements once admired now seem hollow. Even success, recognition, or productivity can suddenly feel meaningless. But here is the key: it's not that you no longer care, it's that you now see through the illusion. You realize no amount of accomplishment can give you the peace, truth, or freedom you are really searching for. This in-between stage is often called the void. It feels quiet, dark, and unsettling. You are no longer who you were, yet not fully who you are becoming. The mind resists this unfamiliar place. It panics, tries to go back, or desperately seeks old motivation through routines, self-help hacks, or productivity tricks. But none of those work anymore. The old engine is gone. Forcing yourself to run on it again is like trying to charge a new device with an outdated plug. It simply won't connect. That's because your old motivation was born from separation, from believing you were incomplete and had to become more. Awakening reveals you are already whole, already enough, already divine. And when you see that truth, there is no longer any reason to chase external validation. So where does this leave you? If you're not chasing, are you stuck in emptiness? Not at all. What feels like emptiness is simply the absence of illusion. And when the illusion falls away, space is created for something real to emerge. This new motivation looks very different from the old. It is gentle, quiet, and subtle. It does not roar with pressure, it flows with peace. It doesn't demand or push, it softly pulls you, like the tide guiding the waves. Instead of being forced, your actions begin to arise naturally, out of presence and authenticity. You create, not to impress others, but because your soul wants to express itself. You help, not to receive praise, but because love naturally pours through you. You speak, not to convince, but because truth wants a voice. At first, this can feel strange because the world praises speed, ambition, and constant productivity. But in reality, slowing down, listening inward, and allowing stillness is where your true guidance appears. This is not laziness, it is rewiring. It is transformation. So how do you begin to reconnect with purpose in this new way? First, stop searching outside yourself. Purpose is not something to find, It is something that unfolds when you allow yourself to simply be. Let yourself rest in the unknown. That is where clarity begins. Second, notice what brings peace. Not excitement or adrenaline, but calm. What helps you breathe deeper? What makes your nervous system relax? That is where your soul is speaking. Follow that gentle feeling. It is your compass. Third, explore with curiosity. Ask yourself, if I didn't need to prove anything, what would I choose to do today? The answers are often beautifully simple. Take a walk, write, call a friend, sing, cook, create. It doesn't need to be grand or impressive. It only needs to be real. And remember, awakening is not linear. Some days you may feel deeply connected, and others completely lost. Both are sacred. The journey is not about holding a high vibration all the time, but about being honest with where you are. Eventually, something shifts. You stop desperately searching for purpose, and realize you are the purpose. Your presence, your awareness, your love, and your being are enough. From this space, action flows effortlessly. You don't chase meaning anymore. You live it. The ego may still whisper, but what about goals, money, productivity? And while those may still matter, you are no longer enslaved to them. You may still build, create, or achieve, but not to become someone. Instead, you allow life to move through you. So if you have lost motivation after awakening, don't panic. Don't assume you are broken. You are transforming. The silence you feel is not a curse, it is grace. It is the sacred space where your true self can finally be heard. One day, you will feel energy return, not the restless energy of the past, but a steadier, kinder, more authentic strength. This energy does not come from fear, but from love. And when it arrives, you will look back and understand. The emptiness was never emptiness at all, it was the doorway to becoming whole. Because you are the purpose. And the world doesn't need the version of you striving to prove your worth. It needs the version of you that remembers you already are everything you've been searching for.